everybody, welcome to my channel. Thank you so much for tuning in and watching this video all about budgeting. I wanted to take a moment to create this video because this is the budgeting system that I use for my online coaching business clients, and it is called the Profit First Method. You've probably already heard it. Here's the book. It's by Mike Michaelowitz, and so this book is a really awesome book and you should read it. So I take the theory behind this book and I help my clients implement it so that way they could, know where their money is going and know how much they actually have to spend on whatever they need for their business. And the way that this method works, this method of budgeting, is that we want to go ahead and identify these major categories that we know we need to have for our business. And so the main ones, and these could be whatever you want, but the main ones that are recommended is having an operating expense, because we know we're going to have expenses that we have every month or every year, whatever the case may be. So that's a really important one. We need to also save up for taxes, because whether we like it or not, we're going to have to pay self-employment taxes, or we're going to have to pay income taxes. So that is another category that we should be saving up for, and that we should be taking or allocating some of the money that we're receiving to that category. The next one is owner's compensation. Owner's compensation is, well, personally my favorite, and it's also really, really important, because as a business owner, what ends up happening is that even when we make more money, we start spending more money. So we often tell ourselves, okay, well, one day I'll pay myself, one day, and that one day never happens. That never comes, because again, as we make more money, we spend more money. So it's really important to be mindful and to be, to be proactive in paying ourselves, because otherwise we won't do it. And then a final major category that is used is profit. And so the reason behind using profit is because we want to be proactive with the profitability for our business. So when we think about the accounting equation, which is income minus expenses equals profit, what that does psychologically, it pretty much it's an afterthought. Our profit is an afterthought. It's everything's been said and done, and we look at our bottom line and we're like, oh, we didn't make our profit. Let's make more sales next year. What happens again when you make more sales? You spend more money, right? So you end up not being as profitable as you want to be. So the premise is that we need to switch that equation. We need to, instead of thinking it as income minus expenses equals profit, we need to think about it as income minus profit equals expenses. So that way we know how much money we want to make and in profits, and then whatever's left over after we would take, when we take our sales minus our profit, then that's how much we should be spending on our operating expenses. And it really makes you think about how you're spending your money, because it's so easy to overspend on things that you don't need. You might sign up for subscriptions that's like, oh, I think I might use this, but you end up not really truly needing it. So it really helps you look at everything, so that way you could start cutting costs where you don't need them. And then it also kind of gives you that motivation of like, I need to start making more. My give me 1 second. Okay, I'm back. My computer was dying. Okay, so again, as we were talking about, we need to be proactive about, being profitable in our business, because if not, our expenses increase as our sales increase, and we end up year after year not being as profitable as we possibly could. So when we think about it, it's very similar to the envelope system that you're probably used in your life. You might use it for your personal expenses, or your parents use it, or your grandparents used it. And so pretty much is, instead of getting an envelope and separating out your money into these envelopes as you get paid for all the different categories, what you want to do is have different bank accounts where when you receive money, you allocate that income into the different bank accounts, and they act as your envelope, so that way you know this is how much I have to spend on this, this, and this. And at the same time, you're building a savings account for your taxes or for your profit, so that way you could take out profit distributions at the end of the year. If you are profitable, you could pay yourself a pretty big bonus with that if you're saving up enough. So I'm going to go ahead and minimize this and this show you guys this calculator that I created, and to show you just the way that it works and kind of give you a visualization of how much money you truly have. So let's say for this week we made $1,200. So that's awesome. That hits our bank accounts and it's looking good, right? Like we have $1,200 in the bank account. Awesome. Well, when you think about it, based on the percentage that you want to use, and these are the percentages that are recommended in the Profit First book, and these are the ones that I personally use and a lot of my clients use as well. That works pretty well. Uh, but based on these calculations, even though we received $1,200, if we look at our operating expenses, we really only have $360 to use for our operating expenses, because $180 of that $1,200 has been accounted for. We need to pay our taxes. $600 has been accounted for because we want to pay ourselves, and then $60 have been accounted for because we want to make sure that our business is as profitable as possible. So that leaves us with $360. So let's take a look at maybe we make in total for the month, we make $4,000. That leaves us $1,200 in operating expenses. Now, if we are thinking about, hiring a virtual assistant, or we're thinking about adding a program or signing up for a course or anything like that, we have to really take into consideration that, well, for our monthly, for our monthly allocations, we only have $1,200 to spend. So how much could I truly afford? And if your number is higher than what you allocate to it, then it's again makes you really think about it, because yeah, we know we have a little bit of extra money in owner's compensation, and we have money in our profit bucket, and then we also have money in our tax bucket, but we don't want to touch our taxes, because we're going to have to pay for that regardless, and it just wouldn't make sense for us to borrow. It's like you could borrow from yourself, but you cannot borrow from the government. So you're left with, taking out from your owner expense or your profit bucket. And it really makes you think that, do I really do I really absolutely need this for my business? Because as you take from or as you add to your operating expenses, you're going to have to take away from your owner's compensation. And that's the first place that I deduct from whenever I'm over budget on my operating expenses. And that's the first place that I recommend for my clients to deduct from, because again, it makes you really think about, like, do I really want to not pay myself? Do I really need this, or could I just wait until I receive a little bit more money in order to cover this additional expense that I have? And again, if you're over on your operating expenses and you're spending, let's say, 45% of your income on operating expenses, that means that your expenses are probably a little bit too high, and it's time to take a good look at your expenses and take a good look at what you don't need. If you're paying for subscriptions that you don't need, if you're signing up for courses that you don't need, or you're just purchasing things that you don't need, then you could totally control that. A lot of things I know we do need to for our business to operate. We do sometimes need, the help and a team to help us, and there are going to be some things that we do need, but there will be, and I promise you, if you look hard enough, if you try hard enough, you will find places where you could reduce costs, so that way your operating expenses are within the 30% range, rather than it being higher. So that pretty much sums up the way that I use this cash flow allocation calculator. And I use a software called YNAB. It's called You Need a Budget. If you might have already heard of it. It's a personal budgeting software, but I use it for my business clients, and I use it for my personal business as well, and my personal expenses. And I find that it's very, very useful in helping you keep track of everything. So if you're interested, I'd be happy to make a video going over how to use YNAB and using this budgeting method, because it just completely simplifies everything. And it gives you visuals that you see, and it kind of puts things into perspective. I'm also going to go ahead and link this calculator. It'll be free. You could download it, and you could, create a copy of the spreadsheet and keep it for yourself. Use it for your business. I use it to help me quickly calculate the allocations. And just as a side note, when I work on my clients, I allocate on a weekly basis, and I also, for my business, I allocate on at least once every other day, just because I enjoy it. I like seeing the money move, and I like seeing, well, how much do I truly have, especially in those times when I want to treat myself to the better things in life, and for my business. And I know that I could possibly wait to sign up for that course, or sign up for that product. That one of the things I'm looking at getting into is Kajabi, because I want to start creating courses for newer business owners. And that's something that I have in my budget, and planning out, and making sure that, since it's a pricier product, like, where am I going to cut in order to stay within that 30% range that I've given myself the goal to stay. All right, guys. So again, I'll link it down below, and let me know if you want to see a video of how I use YNAB to track my budget and my client's budget. Thank you so much for watching this, and I will see you next time.